Thank you, and good morning. Welcome to the 2016 Tennessee Fair Housing Matters Conference, brought to you by the Housing Equality Alliance of Tennessee. I'm Angie Hubbard, and I'm the Director of Community Development at the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency here in Nashville, and I'll be serving as your MC for our morning activities. A few things about MDHA, if you don't know who we are. We're not only the public housing authority for the city of Nashville, but we also administer the federal grant programs, the Community Development Block Grant, the Home Investment Partnership Grant, the Emergency Solutions Grant, and Housing Opportunities for AIDS on behalf of the city of Nashville. With over 5,000 properties in our portfolio and 6,000 vouchers that we administer, in addition to the funds that we make available for housing development and programs, we must remain ever vigilant of our responsibility to affirmatively further fair housing. This means more than just managing our programs free from discrimination. It is taking meaningful actions to overcome historic patterns of segregation and reduce the barriers that restrict access to opportunities based on someone's characteristics. Every year we look forward to this conference. It heightens our awareness of fair housing issues and helps us sharpen our tools so that we can be responsible housing practitioners and providers. As usual, Tracy and her team have a relevant and stimulating agenda. And I see of particular interest for me is later this afternoon, Zach Blair from HUD will be speaking on the new Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing rule and what organizations such as MDHA that manage federal programs have to do to comply with it. Since we're going to, in Nashville, start our new assessment this summer, Zach, I don't know if you're here yet, but if you are, be ready for some questions this afternoon. But this conference has something for everyone, whether you're a realtor, a banker, a housing provider. But always stick around to the end. Tracy always has a fun activity at the end of the day, and you might take home some kind of nice surprise. But without further ado, I'm very honored to introduce our first speaker, the Mayor of Metro Nashville. Megan Barry is the 7th Mayor of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Her election in the September 10, 2015 runoff, after receiving the most votes in the August 6 general election, represents a historic milestone, and this is my favorite part, as she is the first female mayor of Nashville. Mayor Barry's election is also historic in that she is the first Metro Council member to ascend to the office of mayor. First elected in the runoff election for 2007 for the position of council at large, she went on to receive the most votes of the 5 winning at-large candidates in 2011. Her focus as mayor will be on improving the educational outcomes at our public schools, engaging regional and state partners to develop a unified vision and plan for transportation, creating more affordable housing options for residents of all backgrounds, and continuing to grow Nashville's economy while assuring all parts of Davidson County share in the prosperity. Mayor Barry is married to Bruce Barry, a professor of organization studies at Vanderbilt University. Their son, Max, is a junior in college, and they share their home with 2 rescue dogs, Hank and Boris. I know that I'm encouraged and energized that we have a leader in Nashville that not only understands the importance of fair housing, but makes it a priority. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the podium the Honorable Megan Barry.
Good morning. Oh, we have to do that again. Good morning.
Good morning.
There you go. I was recently up north, and I was at a conference, and I did that, and I said, and all I got was crickets. That's all I heard. And so I had to explain to them that in the South, we do call and response. Mm-hmm. And so I did it, and then they understood. So I appreciate you all being here. How many of you are from Nashville? How many of you are not, or just visiting? Well, please spend a lot of money. We welcome you here if you are not from here, and if you are from Nashville, thank you for taking your time to be with us today. I want to just acknowledge all of the hard work that I know that Tracy has done to put this together. So Tracy, thank you for all of your hard work, and to MDHA employees who are here. You know, our MDHA employees every day work really hard on this issue. Angie Hubbard is part of that team, but who are my other MDHA employees? Could you all raise your hands? Thank you. I really appreciate it. And this is a critical issue for my administration, so much so that when I came into office, I brought Adrienne Bond Harris with me, who is here. She is right here. Her focus is on housing. That's how important it is. It actually sits in the mayor's office. And that, I think, communicates the message of where we are as a city right now. We have tremendous economic growth. But with economic growth also comes challenges. I did a speech yesterday to the Realtors Association, and when I had some data that was pulled for me for that speech, and let me share it with you because I think it's relevant when we look at the economy of Nashville. Right now, our unemployment rate is 3.3%. That is a trend that is great. But if you're an African-American male between the ages of 18 and 24, your unemployment rate is over 30%. Our prosperity doesn't reach everybody, and that absolutely includes housing opportunities. When we look at all those cranes in the air, and we have over 25 of them right now in Nashville, and they represent about $2 billion worth of investment in our city. That's fabulous. But we also have to make sure that we're investing in affordable housing. When we talk about transportation and housing are inextricably linked. Many of you may not live in this county, and you may not live here because you can't afford to live here. So you get in a car and you drive up here every day. In fact, 50% of the people who work in Davidson County don't live here. That exacerbates our traffic. And you may not live in Davidson County because you may not feel that our education would provide the education that your kid needs. All of these are connected. Education, transportation, housing, to make sure that we continue to have a strong economy. And that's what I'm committed to. When I look at our housing challenges and I look at our challenges, I really have a really great perspective because I recently had the opportunity to sit next to the mayor of Flint, Michigan. She has problems. We have opportunities. We can turn on our water and drink it. But what we have to make sure is that our folks who live here can also continue to stay here. And housing isn't just about making sure that we house our unhoused. Our homeless population is growing in Nashville, so we have to address that. But it's also about low-income housing. It's also about workforce housing, making sure our teachers, our firefighters, our police officers can live here and prosper. And it's also about making sure that our seniors can age in place and stay where they need to stay. All of this combined together is the focus of my administration. And there are lots of different levers that we have to push to make it happen. There isn't one silver bullet. We created the Barnes Fund when I was on the Metro Council to encourage not-for-profit developers to build more housing. Since I've come into office, we've broken ground with MDHA on several new units. We recently went through a process where we identified 13 Metro properties that were surplus, and we are turning those over to not-for-profit developers to build 50 housing units. 50 housing units, though, isn't going to get us out of this. We have to look at other options, and we have to make sure that what we don't do is concentrate poverty. We have to make sure that our housing options are all around our city. So as I move forward with my administration, I'm grateful that I have so many partners in this room who want to focus on this issue, who want to make sure that we have housing options for all of Nashville's citizens. I can't do this alone, and we need to do this together. We need to create the funding mechanisms. We need to encourage our developers to make sure that they are including housing when they are thinking about new development. And we have to make sure that we are making our seniors stay in their housing. And that's going to be through a very deliberate activity of making sure that their taxes are frozen, because we have a tax reassessment in 2017. And I can tell you right now that that looks like a lot of neighborhoods are going to see a significant increase in their value. And that means that if you are in a house and you have a tax increase with your housing property, we want to make sure that you've frozen it so that you can stay in that house. So all of these together are things that we have to do, and I'm doing that with Adrienne, We also have the Office of Neighborhoods and Community Engagement as part of my office. And we also have the Office of Economic Opportunity as part of my office. All of this together, we are working to help bring every Nashville citizen to the table and prosper. Everybody always calls us the IT city, but we also have to be the city that gets it and gets it right. I have a quote in my office. It says that power is about waking up every day and making a difference in somebody else's life. The fact that I get to sit in this seat at this moment gives me that opportunity. So I thank you for inviting me. I welcome you to Nashville. You guys have a great conference. Beverly is going to come up next. She's an amazing speaker, and she will certainly enlighten you to many things. So thank you, Tracy, again for welcoming me, and welcome to Nashville, y'all.
At this time, we would like to acknowledge all of the partners and the sponsors that helped to make today possible. Without your generous contributions, we would not be able to have this great conference today. So as we call your name, please join Mayor Barry, and we'll hand you a token of our appreciation. First up, we have the City of Franklin. No one from Franklin. Oh, come on up. How we do?
Come on over here.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, the City of Hendersonville.
Have a camera.
Oh, camera. Oh, yeah. Got it. Okay.
Yes?
Yes. We'll get the logistics worked out. Thank you. All right. Hendersonville, thank you. The City of Murfreesboro. How about I hold this with my left hand? The Greater Nashville Association of Realtors. Anyone? All right. The Metro Human Relations Commission.
Come on down, Mel.
The Middle Tennessee Association of Realtors. Residential Resources. There she is. There's Rosalind. The Tennessee Fair Housing Council. All right, Tracy.
Thanks.
The Tennessee Human Rights Commission. Tennessee State University. The Tennessee Council on Developmental Disabilities. Oh. Yeah, TSU, yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yes, I did. I was ahead of it. The Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development. West Tennessee Legal Services. Wait on West Tennessee. As she's making her way, I'll call out Woodbine Community Organization. Tennessee Housing Development Agency. Is that it? And the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency. So Jim is, that is me.
Come on down.
Thanks. Thank you again. Thank you again, Mayor Barry. And can we have a round of applause for all the partners that the Fair Housing Council couldn't do this conference without the help of all the partners, so we appreciate that.
Next on the agenda, we want to take this time to remember someone who has been very important to the affordable housing and fair housing community. And at this time, I would like to invite up Mr. Daryl Hill from Woodbine Community Organization to say a few words about our good friend, Cathie Dodd.
Thank you, and good morning. Many of you guys know or knew Cathie Dodd. She was a pioneer and a leader and a titan in the affordable housing industry. And I'm just going to give you some of the numbers that under her guidance Woodbine was able to do. As the mayor talked about affordable housing, Woodbine has constructed over 300 single-family housing for those who make 60% or below the AMI. We've also have about 200 shared living units for those who are at 30% of AMI. As a housing counseling agency, we've also served and counseled over 2,000 delinquent homeowners. We've educated 11,000 people through our Fast Track program. Cathie was especially proud of our Homebuyer Club, where we had another 1,000 or so people. She knew it wasn't about holding anybody's hand, but it was about assisting and educating and encouraging people. And she encouraged a lot of people, and a lot of you guys have been encouraged by her. If you knew her, she was a people person. She always wanted to help. And it's been a difficult time for us as we get through this transition. And we are very, very thankful of all the kind words you guys have shown us and given us. And we just really need to keep her legacy in our heart. She always strived and wanted to help the individual and try to think outside of the box when it comes to affordable housing. And as the mayor says, that is a real big issue now, and I think it's up to all of us to remember her in our heart and to go on and let's put a real dent in this affordable housing situation that we have. And like I said, thank you all for your kind words and gestures that you have shown Woodbine Community Organization.
Thank you, Daryl, and thank you, Cathie. Next up, we have the pleasure of inviting up our field office director for HUD Nashville. And it is really encouraging for those of us who administer federal programs on behalf of HUD to have such support and knowledge in our field office that we can use as a resource on everything from addressing homelessness to fair housing. So I'd like to introduce Sernorma Mitchell, our field office director for Nashville.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Fair Housing Month. I want to thank all of you in the community for coming out to the 2016 Tennessee Fair Housing Matters Conference. Again, my name's Sernorma Mitchell, and I am the field office director for Nashville. And recently, my jurisdiction was expanded to to West Tennessee. So I'm also the Memphis field office director. Sometimes it gets confusing, so we appreciate your patience and indulgence. On behalf of Secretary Castro and our regional administrator, Ed Jennings, we want to extend our appreciation for the efforts that all Tennessee residents are making on a daily basis to address this issue. In addition, I want to especially extend a thanks to Tracy and her staff, the board members, the HEAT committee. MDHA has already been recognized, but Donna Duarte at Tennessee Housing and Development Agency was also active in recruiting. So, and if I've missed anyone, please forgive me for that oversight. As you know, Monday, April 11th, will be the 40th anniversary of the signing of the Fair Housing Act by President Johnson. And it banned discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, and sex in most housing transactions. Unfortunately, this signing came as a result of a tragedy with the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King on April 4th, 1968. So I would like to, if we just take a moment to recognize those who I refer to as whose shoulders are we standing on for the path that they made so that we could do many of the things that we're doing today. As we face challenges in this area, HUD is playing a very important role, and more recently, in response to a $1.9 million HUD settlement with First Tennessee Bank, they have created a $500 million fund for community grants. And from this fund, the bank will award $3 million a year to organizations serving low to moderate income people and neighborhoods. These funds will be distributed throughout their entire region, but the area of most interest to us is Memphis, Knoxville, Chattanooga, and of course, Nashville. HUD's Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity also investigates nearly 1,800 complaints annually and is responsible for the administration of the Fair Housing Assistance Programs that provides over $28 million to state and local agencies for the investigation of over 7,000 complaints annually. And more than $40 million is awarded to nonprofit organizations for private enforcement and fair housing outreach. While I could go on, my time is limited, but I do want to take a moment to give a shout out to Zachary Blair, who is an equal opportunity specialist in the Nashville office, who will be presenting later today on affirmatively furthering fair housing. Zach, I don't know if you're here yet, but for those of you who work with HUD regulations on a day-to-day basis, I hope that you will attend. Zach is very knowledgeable. And with that, I'm going to conclude and hope you enjoy the conference.